Good evening and welcome to Ring Into Focus, where Matt Wilkins and I will discuss the career of Chris Jericho. Oh, wait, wrong stream. This is a Babylon 5 stream.
Oh, no. Oh, got you.
But I know you read that Lion's Mane or whatever his book was called.
Lion's Tail. Very good.
Mm-hmm. I
Very
need to
good.
read it sometime soon.
We read The Rise and Fall of WCW, and that was really good, too.
Yeah, I have The Death of WCW by R.D. Reynolds.
No, I read The Rise and Fall, right?
Well, the one I have is like from maybe 2001, 2002 by R.D. Reynolds and what's his name? Brian Alvarez, that's with Dave Meltzer. And it goes into a lot of stuff, but it's still kind of biased. But they have the correct outcome at the end, where the only reason that company went out of business is because Turner decided not to keep it on TV. It wasn't because it wasn't profitable. Someone didn't like it. I can't think of the guy's name at Turner and said, I don't want it on TV. That's it. So in any event, this is the Babylon 5 stream. We are going to talk about the made-for-television movies, not really including The Gathering, because we covered that in the first season stream. Yes. You know, we can kind of mention it. There is one thing about it I do want to mention, but I have myself here. I have Matt Wilkins with me as well. It's been months. I think you popped on for about 20 minutes when we did the backward hat stream.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah.
In the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's my fault we haven't done Babylon 5 in a while. I had some kids. So.
Oh, and I've been busy as well. Very, very busy. So it's, 10, 11, 12 hours a day at work, some family stuff going on, house stuff going on. So I get it.
But Let's
see. Yeah, me too. Let's see who we've got as people filter in. And this is from last stream. Sometimes it shows up on the next stream, but Geekblend upgraded to Spacer Apprentice from Spacer Recruit. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Wise man.
Adega Outlaw. We know he's a Babylon 5 fan. Welcome. Corey Cochran, always showing up. One-man show with his customary greetings and salutations. Skirmitar from Eastern Europe is in the house. Yeah, if you're interested, definitely swing back by. Appreciate you saying hello. Skirmitar, the great clip maker and intro maker. So I gotta tell you this. Yesterday, which was Monday, right? Yeah. I was sitting right here working, and I decided on my monitor to my personal PC, I was going to go ahead and watch In the Beginning. Really didn't want to watch the others. Have you watched any of these recently?
No, I haven't. I watched them in order. I think it was the order they were supposed to come out. When I was watching the TV shows. So I'd take a break and watch one of the movies.
Gotcha.
And then some of the other movies I watched at the end, of course.
Yeah. I did watch that one. Really didn't want to watch any of the others. I think I rewatched them like 2 years ago on my rewatch before the last one. I skipped them in the last one. So yeah, most of them are pretty forgettable, and a few of them seem like they go on forever. But yeah, we can get into that. But what I wanted to show really quick, come on camera for a second. I have this one that I've owned since back in the day in 98. This is a 2-movie set with The Gathering and In the Beginning. And then several years later, after the seasons came out, they did a movie set that has those 2 movies, as well as Thirdspace, River of Souls, and A Call to Arms. It doesn't have Legend of the Rangers. That's its own DVD set. So that's what I have. Do you own any of these, Matt?
I do not own any of them. My buddy did a long time ago. And then the second time I watched them, I believe I watched them all on a streaming service.
Got it.
Because at the time, if they're not still on there, I think they're on Amazon Prime or something, weren't they?
Yeah, they still are actually.
Yeah, the movies too. So
Yes, they're on HBO Max, and it looks
that's where I
second
saw it.
best. Yeah,
I
it
think that's where I
looks
saw it. Never mind.
it looks second best because the best I've ever seen it was on Go 90. It was from Sprint. It was like a streaming service they had, open wide, and you could just log in. They had a couple of original shows. I think it was the same master that they used for HBO Max, but for whatever reason it looked better on Go 90, and I would cast it to my television from my phone and watched it that way maybe about 3-4 years ago, something like that.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, the one thing I want to talk about on The Gathering, which again was the pilot movie from 1993, a full year before the series proper started, was it had the original version, and then every version after that shown had a lot of changes, like scenes cut, music completely changed, different
Huh.
soundtrack. Now, here's what was interesting. I finally got my hands on a copy. Amazon had it. You could buy it on Amazon. And I think I still have it in my purchased movies. So I started watching it because I wanted to see how different it was. And the music started, and I'm like, man, that sounds really familiar. Guess what it was? It
What?
it was what's his name, Stuart Copeland, that did the Droids cartoon music. It's
Really?
yeah, like the do 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 do, and I'm like, holy shit, it is. And what band was he from? The Police, or
How
he's from
strange.
one of those
Yeah.
80s bands, but he did like the background music in Droids. There was always music playing
Yeah.
in the background, like a lot of like spacey type sounds.
Did
Uh,
not know
the
that.
Police, yeah, Stuart Copeland. It was the Police. I knew it was one of those 80 bands. But yeah, so it shows the station, and you hear that droidsy type music. And there was like an extended scene whenever they're going to the alien sector with Lita. They cut that out of the director's cut. So if you haven't ever seen that, you or anyone listening, try to get your hands on it and just compare it to the director's cut that JMS considers definitive. It's almost like the George Lucas special editions. So
Wow.
if you have Amazon Prime, see if it's still out there.
Yeah. Huh. Did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
What a connection. Really cool.
Definitely. Yeah. The box art of the sets was amazing. Only problem is the glue came off on most of mine and they kind of fell apart. But yeah, really good box art for every single season.
That's part of those 90s late 90s, early 2000s, just slap it together.
Yes.
They weren't the most reliable of boxes.
No.
And they just DVDs were hot, and you could sling it out for as cheap, make it as cheap as you could and sling it out so it could sell. Because everyone was buying everything on DVD for good reason.
Yeah. And then suddenly, like, every single television show possible was on a rack at Walmart. Oh man, Different Strokes season 2 is out, like Silver Spoons.
What's in this $5 bin? Come on, let's dig through it. Oh
yeah,
man, good stuff. You dig through that $5 bin, hoping to find something really good. That was before it was. Of course, it was before streaming was that.
Yeah, for about 5 years before streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Redbox was the big thing, right? Getting a new rental for $1.99 or something, or $1.
Yeah, and the first time I ever streamed, it was Netflix on my Wii, but I had to have a Netflix disc to stream on. Then eventually they got it to where you could add the app on the Wii. So yeah, I was watching like Battlestar Galactica, the new one. That's how I finished watching that series on Netflix on my Wii, and wrestling and a bunch of other stuff. So Melissa Lord's in the house, first ever member of the channel. But yeah, so we kind of talked about The Gathering in our season 1. So yeah, it's kind of a movie, I guess. It definitely feels like a movie. It's 2 hours long, all that crap. So but really the first thing that was spun as a movie was in the beginning, and I think it was early 1998. I think it was between the 4th and 5th seasons when that thing came out. And quite frankly, not only is it the best of the movies, I think it's just fantastic overall. And it's very tough to do as a prequel, because you know how it is with prequels, but they did a good job not really messing anything up, making the characters look younger, and not really hitting you over the head with, oh, this is what this scene's referring to.
Right. They trusted they trusted the audience to remember things, and they knew their audience was smart, so they didn't have to spoon feed you a storyline. And what they gave you, and in the beginning, which I agree, it's the best one by far. Well, hold on. Let me make sure. Let me think about Legends of the Rangers again.
Oh my gosh!
I can't wait
to remove you from the stream.
I can't wait to talk about that one for a different reason. But in the beginning is, honestly, if someone asked me if you were to watch one of these, it has to be that one. It has to be that one. In fact, it is excellent. It is excellent all the way through. There's really no dead time. You're engaged the whole way. And it should be watched in the order. It shouldn't be the first one to be watched. I remember you told Teresa that a long time ago.
It's not. It's a prequel, right? Prequel doesn't mean you watch it first.
It's mean
like sequel, but it happens before. That's what prequel means.
Right. And
you'll spoil major things if you watch it before you watch the whole show.
And you get to find out new things from it too. It shows fans. It really pays off. Where the rest of them, and we'll talk about this later, I'm sure the rest of them, well, not all of them, but a lot of them feel like really long episodes.
Yes.
You know,
and
this one meant something. It drove the storyline. It drove the characters. It peeled back a little bit of mystery. You know, we got to know a little bit more about the situation and what's going on. So yeah, I thought this one was well crafted. And if you would have asked me, should they make more, I'd have said absolutely.
Yeah, good point.
Because this one was just so good. It really pays off.
YouTube me's here. Tuscan Bob is here. I should ban him from the chat. Timone's here. And I don't think I missed anyone else. But yeah, you're exactly right. And it looked good. Now, what's sad is the version on Amazon looks terrible. Because of the thing we've discussed where it was all on tape, they lost the original film. So they had to basically transfer tape to DVD and whatever else, and it looks like crap. The effects did not look like that the first time it aired. They looked a lot better. So if you can get your hands on some kind of recording from television, I guarantee it will look better. So sadly. But just the framing story of, he's telling the story to the kids.
Oh, it's great.
Man,
so
I wish
good.
I could, like the lines here. I'm checking on Lurker's Guide to see if they have the lines and just the dialogue. That's what JMS is an expert at, is dialogue based on the characters he's writing. Not, you could say a line and it wouldn't make sense for Sheridan to say it, but if Londo says it, it's like the perfect line. I'm trying to think of what he said.
Doesn't he ask the child, if you could have anything, what would you want? And he gives simple, because that's the question.
No, he literally says, what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want? And he says something simple, and Londo goes,
well, they want to hear a story.
They want to hear a story. And they're like, oh, don't bother the king. He's like, no, it's a good one. He said, better than what I answered.
Yeah, he said, you did much better than I did answering that question.
Yeah.
And then the little boy says, you're the emperor? He's like, sometimes I find myself asking myself that own question or whatever. So many great lines and stuff. Yeah. And then he tells the story.
When everyone's saying, don't bother the emperor, leave him alone, he's like, no, it's fine. And you see, it's a kind but very sad. I mean, that actor is brilliant. Is just brilliant. And that may be the problem with some of these other movies. If you don't make Londo the center, it's just not going to be that good.
Yes.
Because he's such a great character. But that one, that was a great line. That was a great. I know that line. I can't. I won't be able to quote any of the other movies, but this one I know very well.
Yeah, that entire opening scene, he had like 4 or 5 great lines. I can't even
Mhm.
remember the rest of them. They were just
It's just his
fantastic.
interaction and dialogue with the kids at the
Hmm.
beginning. It, like I said, he's kind, but there's a deep sadness within the emperor, and you can tell that. You just don't know what that. No one knows what it is.
Right.
It's the acting more than the words that he's speaking that is really empowering. I mean, and that's at the beginning. That's how the movie starts, right?
That is yeah, because they're chasing
Yeah,
each other,
yeah.
around, and then they wind up in his sanctum. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't bother the emperor. But the thing is, though, it's wonderful because it catches you and pulls you in as he tells the story of what happened even before episode one. Okay, so this is truly in the beginning, and it starts laying down the groundwork. So what you think you know, they're going to show you a little bit more. They're going to reveal a little bit more of the backstory that you haven't seen yet. And it
Yeah.
was a huge payoff on fans. And again, when we get to some of these other episodes here, I don't understand, not to be mean, but why they were made. There
Hmm.
wasn't
Hmm.
some big reveal. Not that
Yeah.
there, no, no, no. I'm going to argue this. There should have been. There should have been something big in every TV movie because it's a TV movie. It needs to be a big event. We should be talking about these TV movies like they're the 5 best episodes Babylon 5 ever had. Honestly,
Yes.
honestly, we should be talking about each of them like we're talking about in the beginning.
Yeah. That's and again, they felt like extended episodes. And you take Tuscan Bob here, who's been watching Orville season 3, and these episodes are an hour, I think he said, and 10 minutes long.
Hmm.
And from what he's told me about them, very boring. And that's how Thirdspace was. What a stupid plot and boring movie. It was like a special effects extravaganza. We'll get to that one. But
Okay, all right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the
Tell me
beginning,
we're moving to that one because I've got some stuff for each one of these. But yeah.
so as soon as he starts telling the story, he comes into the Earth Force General's office as a young Londo, and he really did look young. Like, they
He
did a great
did.
job. They brought his hairline down.
This
Um,
is before CGI, folks. Before you could
yes,
do little cute things with CGI,
deep
and
fake.
back when you had to do makeup. Makeup
Yeah,
was what they had.
it was makeup, and they brought his hairline down, and they made it darker, his hair darker, and he looked legitimately younger.
Yeah,
So he looked good. And then that general guy, don't forget, he would wind up being in one of the last episodes of the 4th season at the
right.
end of the Civil War, because he kind of admits that, gosh, we're wrong, and then he saves Sheridan from uh, doing the suicide run on the orbital cannon.
Right.
So cool continuity there. Probably
Yeah,
filmed around the same time.
probably so. But the thing with Londo, just going back to Londo a little bit there, is we're seeing the actor portray a more naive, you know, rookie-like Londo than what
Yeah.
we've seen later on. He's
Yes.
a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more of a joke, a joke,
Yep.
like kind of how he started. And it feels green. I mean, just the whole feeling. And that's hard to do when you've been playing a character arc for so long to take him all the way back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I'm so impressed with the acting here because he feels like he's, green behind the ears. He's laughing with the Earth people, and his old bravado that he used to have, uh, talking about the old glory days as if they're still around of his people. I love the betrayal, but that is really hard to do when you've been playing a character for a couple of seasons, right? At this point.
Yes. Yes.
And now you have to dial him back to, pre-season 1, but he did. And he feels that way too. It's excellent stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But he does try to advise them, hey, stay away from Minbari space. And he has
Mm-hmm.
that line with, oh, like arrogance combined with stupidity. How efficient. or
Yeah.
something like that. And that's another thing. It's shown that, hey, even back then, and probably because of the way they were back then, they got into the war, but Earth, lots of evil, like arrogant people in the government and military, even back then. So that's kind of how that whole conversation goes, like, oh, we can handle anyone and all that stuff. So great scene.
Yeah.
And then I think they pop over to Minbar, and of course you have Delenn, you have Jakar, you are not Jakar, Dukat, the leader. You have that guy's a great actor. That
He's another one. Great
voice. Yeah.
Could watch anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then him having dinner with someone, I could see the whole episode.
Oh yeah.
In fact, that's what Thirdspace should have been. Dukat had dinner with insert character, and that's all they do. They have 3-course meal.
Yeah.
With Londo.
Yeah, there you go.
Episode. But,
yeah. So, and then they introduce that Ranger leader, and then the thing going on with Minbari is that the Rangers were established like 1,000 years before to get ready for the return of the Shadows, and then the warrior caste, even the religious caste, and the worker caste doesn't really care. They kind of think it's all a myth, and that the Rangers are stupid, and they're kind of conspiracy theorists and all this stuff. But it's like, well, why do they exist? This guy wants money and funding and weapons and all that stuff. So that's kind of a cool plot going on in the movie, because we kind of heard about it, and we saw some of it in season 1 and 2 that, well, if you guys aren't going to do the fighting, then we'll do it ourselves. So that was kind of a cool follow-up.
It's a little more into the hierarchy between the two castes and the friction.
And the Rangers, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a cool scene. And then the compromise, that Dukat guy, the leader of the Minbari, says something like, we're not going to send warriors. And he has a great line like, oh, so is Zahadum too scary or something like that for the warrior cast? And the guy's face, like, you could tell he was pissed. He's like, we fear nothing. So then he says, we're going to go ourselves, because don't forget the Grey Council is on that ship. They're on the Black Star, they're on. Right. So they go themselves, and they're going to verify that the Shadows had returned to that planet Zahadum, because that means, that they're back and the war is going to start. So that storyline's kind of going. And then let's see, I don't know, it pops back, and then we find out that Dr. Franklin was kind of a conscientious objector, because he doesn't want to provide his medical records to the military so they can develop biological weapons and stuff like that. So we find that out. That kind of fits with the character based on what we'd seen, especially in the first and second season. Oh, and then Sheridan. I thought they did a good job of making him look younger. They gave him a little bit of a buzz cut. Not buzz, but it much shorter than he had it in the television show.
Yeah, a lot of care was given to detail.
He was good in this. Yeah. But let's talk about what I think was one of the greatest scenes, not just in the movie, but in the entire franchise. Whenever that arrogant captain and his small fleet, when they approach Minbari space and that interaction happens, very intense sequence. I mean, it was way better than I remembered it.
Yeah,
they've got the headsets on, and it was just like a good scene from a science fiction movie where, it's like right before a battle type of thing. Like you could imagine it being from like a Star Trek standoff or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's character development and payoff, just like the Obi-Wan series.
So, did you notice that once the battle started, they flashed really quick, and they showed Michael York's character. Remember the one that had the PTSD from that episode of Late Delivery from Avalon? They showed him for about 2 seconds firing his cannons.
I forgot. Yes.
I think it was footage from that episode, but still, like the fact that let's show it really quick. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I forgot that was in there.
And they didn't do anything like, oh, hey, Lieutenant whatever, fire. They just showed it so that people who had seen the episode would know and go, oh, hey, like we are right now. Like, cool little reference there.
No, yeah. That's it. That again, in the beginning is just pushing all your buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Showing you, and it fits perfectly.
Yes. They bring in Jakar because he agrees to sell them weapons because the Centauri won't. And as always, his lines are just amazing. Just not just the way he delivers them, but the way they're written are freaking amazing. He says something like, well, won't they get mad at you for selling us the weapons? He's like, all of our technology is based on Centauri technology because we basically reverse engineered it. And he's like, anything they find will point them right to the Centauri. So just great line, great delivery. So
yeah, it's good. And when you have good characters, and this is why in the beginning I think works better watching it later, and that was written later and not as a pilot, because people were maybe thinking, why wouldn't they make this a pilot? Because at this point, all the actors understand what their characters are like. The writers understand the directions of these characters, and so to put it out a few seasons into the show, just made everything fit smoothly instead of a pilot that you have where it's clunky only in that the actors are trying to get into their role. So in the beginning is the perfect prequel, like you were saying earlier, just because everyone's a veteran. The writers know what they're looking at. The dialogue's great. The acting's great. Everything about this TV movie is excellent.
Yeah, and they knew what had already come in the main story.
Yeah.
So they didn't set themselves up
easily.
Yeah, exactly. Then that battle happens and Dukat dies, and then Delenn kind of gets made, the leader, at least interim. And then her scene where she flips out.
We find out that she's the one that started it.
Yes.
Started the war, and
no mercy.
You didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big, because you knew there was a war between them, but you didn't know who started. And you certainly didn't think it was Delenn. No. that was, she was not one involved with that. But then you find out what happens, and your mouth is open by this point. You're like, oh my goodness, what did they just do?
But what's great is, as the story progresses, she realizes, man, that was like a moment of anger. And she's kind of the one that starts calling for, we got to find a way to stop this, or we're going to make an entire species extinct. So she, the one that calls for it, is trying to stop it. But it was basically a holy war at that point, and they couldn't just say, okay, we're going to stop. So really cool angle there.
No, yeah, I agree. The whole thing, well done. But that's the whole twist at the end that leaves the fans going, oh my gosh, like they revealed something big.
Yeah, and we can reveal it because this is a 20-30-year-old show. So
this is later. But I'm just saying that was a big reveal, and that's what a TV movie should have been. It should have had a big impact, and it gave the fans something that they did not know. It propelled the story forward, and overall a solid TV film.
Yeah. Yeah, Dukat had 2 Vorlons in his quarters, and then Delenn started interacting with them, and of course they gave her a cryptic piece of advice: the truth points to itself. So when they're on the eve of destroying the last fleet that Earth had, she brings one of the ships aboard to interrogate him, whatever, and then they take this triluminary that had a device that shows if you have DNA of Valen in you and Captain or Commander Sinclair at the time did. So they're like, oh wait, why does he have Minbari DNA? And we already knew that at that point because third season had already happened, but you kind of see how that event happened. So they're like, wait, we can't continue this war because we'd be destroying our own souls. Yeah.
Killing your own souls there. Yeah.
And you didn't find this out until like the second season of the show. So they kind of made you wait. And piecemeal, you start learning more and more about that. So that scene was in there. And again, you'd seen the scene where he's on his attack run many times, going all the way back to the first season. But this is when you first saw it all happen in sequence like that. Oh,
yeah,
and
it wasn't broken up into little bits and
yes.
pieces. They showed the entire happening. Yeah, event.
Yes.
Yeah, no, good.
One thing that was shoehorned in was the scene with Susan and her pilot brother, where he says goodbye to her, and I just felt like it was, hey, we got to give her a scene somehow.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. So they felt like they'd given so many people some backstory. They felt like they had to give Susan something, but it really wasn't that interesting.
It's kind of like when they want, like, you know, if you take WWF, they take all the guys with no match at WrestleMania and have a battle royal. Like, put everyone else in a battle royal.
Yeah.
So they can get a WrestleMania paycheck.
Just to give them something to do.
Yes.
That was her battle royale. That's exactly right. I like that.
Yeah, that scene was just, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good either. So it was just kind of shoehorned in.
Just there.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we're forgetting anything interesting. Maybe at the end when it goes back to the framing story and the kid leaves. I really like how they don't pound you over the head with it, because you got to go back to some 4-season episodes and even the series finale to find out like what happens to Sheridan and Delenn when they're prisoners on Centauri Prime. Because if you'll remember in the episode, they are given a ship and he lets them go and stuff, but it doesn't show that in here. And I'm glad, because, you know, we don't need to see that again. We've already seen it before.
Right. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True on that.
But yeah, definitely the best of the movies here.
Which isn't saying much.
What's that?
Which isn't saying much when we get to the rest.
Yeah.
That was the one we could talk about the most, folks.
Yeah. Corey Cochran says, it also mad you think back on how and why she did what she did and put it in a new light. Yeah. And that episode Atonement also shows why why she had the right to remain his leader, and he had whispered to her, and you can see him saying it as he's dying, and it's, you're a child of Valen. That's what he was telling her. But it doesn't show that in this movie, which is also good because we'd already seen that. So you kind of like know if you know, and it makes it like a cool meta reference. But if you don't know that, it's still, you know, it doesn't ruin the scene because they don't really focus in on it.
That's a good point.
Trying to think of anything else. I think that's really.
Yeah, we're ready to move on.
The nuts and bolts of that one. Next up, they did.
Here we go.
Thirdspace. In the summer that year, before the season ended.
Yeah.
So, and that one, here's the basic plot. We're not going to go into it. The basic plot is, long time ago, Vorlons wanted to become more powerful and more like gods, so they created like a jump gate that went into basically another dimension that wasn't hyperspace, and they unleashed this even more powerful species, and then they locked them back in there, and somehow this device let them back out, and basically JMS wrote, how does Sheridan resolve it? Do you remember, Matt? He uses a nuke.
Oh, right. And this is something that has nothing to do with the overall story arc, doesn't propel the story, is never mentioned again.
Exactly.
And it's something that you felt like, oh, because I mean, if you're watching these, and the first time I saw it, after seeing in the beginning, I was excited for Thirdspace. And as they're talking about the Vorlons and what they're trying to do, you're like, oh, okay, well, what's going on? How is this going to impact the story moving forward? It doesn't. It was a Wednesday. And I mean, that was the one that I was like, oh, ouch. It's almost like they wrote it. Not only did they write a 2-hour episode, but it was a boring episode too.
Exactly. Well, in this picture here from the episode, this kind of looks like a Centauri thing approaching Susan. If you know what I'm talking about.
It looks like something from some dirty anime too, but
that's what their things are. If you'll remember, they have
look out.
So they have 6, I mean, and they come out of their back. But
hey,
yeah, it wasn't good.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't good, and for several reasons. One, nobody's story is moved forward or propelled or changed in some epic way. Does that happen? Does it have to happen? Yes, it does. In a TV movie, I argue, if you're going to make a TV movie, you better make it impactful. At least one character must have something serious happen to their story arc. It should be the must-see episode. The must-see. Did you see the movie last night? No. Oh my goodness! Like you should not be able to watch the rest of the show without missing something because you did not see the movie. However, I don't know what the concept was into doing Thirdspace at the beginning. Was it just that they said, "Hey, let's make another TV movie"? And he goes, "Oh, here's an episode that I wrote out that I can just draw out."
Probably.
You know. But it was literally pointless, and it should have been with that premise. You just read the premise, and you're thinking that sounds interesting. Yeah. What's going to happen? We like to hear Vorlons, and they could have made it into something that would have been impactful, that would have been story driven, change or propelling our characters forward, like in the beginning did. But no, it's just a regular episode, lazy ending, lazy writing. And nothing really matters. It's like no one cared. And then
I think he contracted with TNT for X number of movies, and that's what he came up with.
But I mean, put a little bit more effort in it, man.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Put a little bit more effort in it, because that was, hold on. I mean, it's not the dumbest one of all these, but hold on. Let me look and see.
Just well, like you said, Matt, have
second worst. Second worst of the ones we're talking about.
Second worst. Legend of the Rangers.
That's the best by far.
Yeah, the best of the worst. But like you said, have Jakar and Londo eat dinner for an hour and a half, and I'll watch that.
But see, that's the thing. You have these actors, and I'm not even playing, because if they're having a discussion, it doesn't matter almost what they're talking about. You can have Galen tell a tale of something. But is it real or is it not? Maybe it peels back some of his past, that we find out something shocking about him or whatnot. That would have been great.
Agreed.
You have the talent there. And if you take a minute and write, because he should have taken his time or found someone who had a great idea and put it to a movie and really tie it in to the rest of the TV show. These movies, again, should have been epic. Each one should have been a pivotal moment for not every character. I'm not saying try to sew and get every character in there. No, for some character who hasn't had time to shine on the small screen, whose story is, whose character is lacking an arc right now, or who do we need to really pump up? Okay, make them the focus of the movie and give them something to work with. Give them that push, so that when we go to the next episode, I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen to, fill in the blank, because what happened in Thirdspace was really big for them, whatever turn they had. But I don't know. Thirdspace is easily the second worst film we're talking about here.
Yes. Yeah, nothing more can be said. It just
Yeah.
wasn't good. And you know
Wasn't good.
what's sad? And we can talk about this on a future stream more in depth. In fact, I'll at the end of this, I'll kind of propose what we do next. But like those Lost Tales, if he had continued making those, imagine he could have done that episode where they're sitting at a dinner table for 45 minutes and
And
people
I
would have
know,
loved it.
and if I understand, we're talking about that later, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that because I got a lot to say about that one too. But I'm fine talking about that another time.
Yeah, because at the end I'll kind of say I think this will create an entire stream. I'm thinking like 2 more, and
Oh yeah,
it'll take
we
care of
gotta
all
do
those.
one for Crusade.
Yeah, that's a whole stream.
Yes, I agree with that. So okay, all right, go on next movie then.
Yeah, it's. Do you like Martin Sheen, Matt?
Yes, I
Do
do.
you like Martin Sheen in alien makeup?
Who wouldn't?
Yeah. River of Souls, and it came out a few weeks before the series actually ended. I remember they pushed the hell out of that on TNT because I'd be
And they
watching WCW, and then they'd have a commercial for it and stuff, and it
and with
wasn't
Martin
good.
Sheen, that's what you do. You push it.
Yes.
You make sure people want to go see it. You brought in big acting chops to deliver something to your movie. And River of Souls, again, let me think about this before I say it, may be the second best, but distance. For me, River of Souls was something that if you cut it in half, like 45 minutes, it would have made for a good episode. We would be talking about, oh, that was a good episode. But they felt like they had to make a movie. There's way too much dead time spread out in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it could have been a really good episode if they'd have cut it in half and, just propelled the story. Plus, I'd be remiss if I don't mention a Tracy Scoggins scene.
Oh, man, you stole my thunder.
Oh, go ahead, please. It's why it's number 2.
Yeah, that scene, and
actually,
what was it? A hologram
with Giraldi and everything. That's a great arc too. I loved that story plot. That was the B story plot line. It was fun. It was humorous. A guy is running. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah, no, you do it. You'll do it better.
A guy's running a holodeck, and Tim, correct me if I mistake anything here, but he's running a holodeck. He doesn't have licenses to run it, the business, and they're trying to shut down. Plus, he's getting people's images without their permission. Well, one of the most popular ones is, of course, the new captain of Babylon 5, which is Tracy Scoggins' character, and not only is her image being used, but it's being used as brothel type, right? You're not sitting there having tea with her in the command center. And there is it talks about how popular it is. She even gets a look at her hologram character toward the end of the movie, and she is in a knock your socks off sexy lingerie.
I'm gonna pull it up in a minute.
Yeah, and Giraldi's like behind her. He's behind her, kind of checking out her hologram image. And that is so funny. It's such a funny scene. The whole thing's really funny.
And the reference there is they don't like each other.
Yeah, but the thing is though that the sleazy little guy who runs the place, there it is. Look out. Woo. Hey, look out. That's
autographed and everything you can get, I guess. So that has to be the most autographed thing she's ever done.
Autograph.
Yes.
Why not that makes the episode memorable. But no, it's a funny scene because when she sees herself, she's like, because doesn't she say something prior to that like, oh, like lighten up or whatever. It's just a hologram.
Yes.
I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm not going to let some hologram get to me or whatever. And then she sees what type of hologram it is and is like, not happy. And Giraldi's checking it out.
Yes.
I just thought that is hilarious. And like I said, again, you cut this movie in half and you have a great episode that you and I would have been talking about for season 4 or whatever, you know?
Yeah, that could have been her. That could have been her scene, like when Ivanova has the sex scene, you know, with that alien when she says this is how humans do it and stuff.
Yeah.
That could have been the comedy scene if it were a regular episode. But
yeah.
But the main plot was just dumb. So for people that don't know, soul hunters are a species. They don't kill anyone. They wait until someone's gonna die, especially
and they've been featured before.
They what?
They've been featured before in previous episodes.
Yeah, they were like in the second or third regular series episode called Soul Hunter.
Yeah, and when they came on the base, when one came on the base, everyone took off, packed their bags, and left. Right now, it built their mystery. It built their, you know. So seeing another, what they called soul hunters.
Yes.
Yeah, seeing another soul hunter, and then one played by Martin Sheen, you should have been instantly drawn to this.
Yep.
But go ahead.
They can kind of sense when, especially mass death is going to happen. In fact, right. In the beginning, they showed them showing up, you know, because of the battle and stuff. So once that happens, they show up because they collect the souls of the dead. So what they did was they made a mistake a long time ago with the species. They weren't dying, they were ascending into a higher plane of existence. So they captured their souls and they were stuck in that big room. And they're like, uh-oh, they really weren't dying. And then all these souls supposedly went crazy. Just really dumb, made a physical plot. I mean,
to me, it works as a short episode. You know, they made a mistake, and this is what's going on with it. That to me is fine. It's fine. Just as, again, I truly believe it was a 45 minutes episode, we'd be talking about how that was a good one, pretty good one there. Again, because the B storyline was so much fun, it was so enjoyable. Had the comedy as you're having this serious moment, and the Soul Hunter, you would get to see a little bit more about them, but it just goes on and on. It stretches, and that's where it kind of, because I was like, there's so many, and it's been a while, but when I rewatched it, I took notes, of mental notes to myself saying, man, they could have cut this down and this would have been a fun episode. But unfortunately, it's just, it goes, I mean, when he's hiding them or something, I remember there's a scene where he's holding the orb, the glowing orb, and it just takes forever for the scene to end. It's like they didn't know what to do. They said, look, we've got to have a runtime of X amount. So Martin,
establishing shot,
walk over to the shelf, pull it off the shelf, look at it, then bring it slowly back to the table, put it down, then walk away, but then turn. Now go toward it again, sit down, and we're going to have a slow camera move in angle. And then we're going to go to black. Why did we need all that? Because we have a long runtime and we need to kill space. I mean, it was obvious.
Yes.
In certain scenes being drawn out, wasteful dialogue.
Totally agree.
They were padding scenes. And at first, when I first watched this, I thought it was just an episode that he just couldn't air. You know, he just didn't have time to air. So he just wrote some, schlag in between to stretch out the episode. Because, again, I laughed. I laughed during some of that scene. I enjoyed, of course, Miss Scoggins. But no, I enjoyed Girardi and all of them. You know, that they had something to do, but boy, did they drag it out. And they drug it out just to get. It's obvious they drug it out to get the runtime. So again, River of Souls, Good idea. In my opinion, it was a good idea. Interesting idea. Because they made a mistake. Again, they were ascending, they weren't dying, they trapped them. This is all this goes against what their whole purpose is, and it's a dirty little secret, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they don't want anyone knowing. So to me, I enjoy that, but I enjoy it when it's 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to on and on.
Yeah, and you'd have to tie it to something else that's happening with the main characters, like a parallel in a regular episode with the comedy B plot. I would have been much better with the concept.
You could have done that, and you could have maybe had a better relationship between Girardi and I can't think of her name. What's her character's name?
Garibaldi.
Garibaldi. I'm sorry.
Girardi.
Garibaldi. I knew that something was wrong with me saying that.
Are you asking what the captain's name is?
Yes, in the captain's
Lockley.
name. Lockley. They could have given their relationship a push, not romantic relationships, just they're a little bit closer now. They have a little bit more understanding for each other after this adventure. They could have pushed it that way, kept it as is, pushed their relationship a little bit more closer, and that would have been something. But but again, it's it's a TV movie that comes out, is never mentioned again. Not that you have to mention everything, but make something of worth in that. Show, this is the point where Garibaldi, he kind of bonds with the captain there, and that was the whole. We got something out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I don't want to say lazy writing on this one, because I do believe Thirdspace was just a waste of time.
Oh, big time.
But River of Souls, not bad. If you fast forward, if you're watching on DVD, if someone could help you out, if the Lurker's Guide could tell you which minutes to fast forward through, I think you'd enjoy the movie.
Yes.
If someone suffered through the movie and said, okay, let me put the little timestamps here on what you can fast forward through, then I think you would enjoy it.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. What's the next one? Unless you have something else to say about it.
No, that's it. Like I hated the music. It was constantly there.
But I believe you.
This I hate that kind of music that's always present, but like not overly dramatic, but not really stirring any kind of emotion. That's what this music was. And which is sad, because the series has a lot of fantastic music. I have some CDs somewhere, because they would release 3-4 episodes at a time, like the music from those.
You said overly dramatic, but what was the quote? Overly dramatic, but not really.
But stirring emotion, yeah.
Not really stirring emotion. Okay. So it's like music for Kenobi.
Yeah, I have no idea what that sounds like, because I don't watch the show. So I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. Did they get John Williams? I don't know.
Oh man.
Don't know.
Okay. Go ahead.
But that's really it. I hated the thing. Yeah. I tried to watch it, like I said, about 3 years ago. That'll be the last time. I'm good. I'll watch the series and in the beginning, and I am good. But next up, it was a soft pilot, I guess you could call it. It wasn't technically a pilot for Crusade. And it was called...
is that the next one?
Yeah, Call to Arms.
Call to Arms. Okay.
Yeah, so you had Sheridan. I think you had... I wish it had a cast here. Dadgummit. It had Sheridan. I think it had Garibaldi.
It had Garibaldi in it. Hold on, let me pull it up. I should have that pulled up.
I don't think Delen's in it. Zach is in it.
Nope.
What?
Tracy Scoggins. Hold on, let's see.
There he is.
Yeah, Garibaldi. Zach is in it. Galen.
Yeah, we'll talk about Galen.
Lockley's in it. Yeah. Okay.
But that's it. I mean, what's her name was gone by then. what's her
Right.
name? Claudia Christian was gone by then.
Yeah.
You didn't
And
have the doctor.
no, this one felt like, after the party when you realize you've stayed too late.
Yeah.
And like all your friends are there, but everyone's too tired to do anything. Welcome to Call to Arms.
Yes.
It's like we have the actors, but we have nothing for them to do. But we need to make this TV movie. You've got a good cast right there. You can do some type of interesting story, okay? But they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on this one, and it should have had more potential than anything else because this is way later in the series. They could have gone back. They know so much about the overarching story.
This is after the series.
Yeah. This is right after the series. So they could have gone in and told any story they wanted to get, to bring out. And I don't know, for example, I don't know, but they could have brought out something from the series and said, oh, but here's a story of this we haven't told here. Maybe there's something else. I don't know. It seems like wasted potential for me, if that makes sense. And this is why it's right in the middle of, one really good TV movie and one meh, which is River of Souls for me. And then, it's, if you want to eat 3-day-old oatmeal with no added flavor in it, that's what Call to Arms is. You're like, well, wait a minute. I thought oatmeal tastes good. Yeah, it does. But you need to have something in it. And this has nothing in it. It has all the looks. I'd even argue even the cover and everything. You're like, ooh, Call to Arms. Oh, this is about to get serious. And then you're like, oh, well, nothing really happened.
Yeah, what they had here was they had the guy that made the music for Crusade. They had the models built, and not literal models, it was all CGI. For the Excalibur build. They had all this stuff, and they're like, okay, I need to make another movie to fulfill my contract. Why don't we just why don't we make one that we can lead into Crusade and get it done that way? And of course, at the very end, they show the Drock spreading the plague that sets up the plot for Crusade. But the rest of the time, it's like, Sheridan, here's this new class of ship. Here it is,
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's so generic in one note the whole way through. And I mean, spoilers for next episode for me and Tim. I love Crusade.
Yeah, I mean, most of it I did.
I think the storyline is good. I think the characters are strong, and I think if given enough time, this would have been a great show. So to me, to have so much potential to fart out the gate with Call to Arms. I mean, you watch Call to Arms, there's nothing that gets you excited about Crusade. I mean, you're like, why would I care about these people? And you should, because the series shows potential. That first half season or whatever they showed, watching it, maybe I should say this for when we talk about Crusade, but watching it a second time, I have way more appreciation for it than I watched it the first time.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk about that because
we'll stop there. But
I think I have some stuff that'll surprise you when we do talk about it.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to talk about Crusade. But Call to Arms should have been something that gets you excited for the upcoming series, excited for the characters. You're like, okay, what's going on? Oh, I want to hear more about this guy. Okay. It's the handoff. We've seen spinoffs from TV shows, and we've seen the episode that spins them off.
Yeah.
But this one just was, again, a weak handoff to.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I get it. And here's what I'm going to ask you. So you've got the new ship, right? You've got the Excalibur and 2 sister ships. You've got the new music. You have 2 new characters, Darina and Galen. What's missing here? You don't have the Crusade crew? Why is Galen interacting with Sheridan and not Gideon? Why? I mean,
That's right.
let's
The
do a.
Techno Mage shouldn't be interested in any of them.
Mm-mm.
He's
Yeah,
showing
Galen's like warning them of all this stuff, and it's like, well, don't even try to make this a pilot unless you actually have more than 2 of the characters from the whole series.
Yeah,
It was shoehorned in.
It was that's a great way to say it. Shoehorned in, and if it would have given, like I said, again, wasted potential. This one should have been something that we would have just. It kicks off like he has a great idea about the spinoff Crusade. You're gonna love it. Here's the idea: mankind suffering from this. I like the overall plot. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
But terrible execution. And you had the stars to help pull it off. Again, that's a great question. Why is the whole cast not involved in this? But you could have made it into something that, was really good, but
Well, here's the thing. When you look at Thirdspace, when you look at River, when you look at this one, you could tell the performers weren't feeling it, and it really comes out on screen, because if you look at third season, fourth season of the show, that's like some of the best Sheridan ever,
because they're on their A game.
Yeah, the actor was into it and stuff. But this, like, oh yeah, we need you to have a battle, and you sit in the command chair, and okay, you could just tell Bruce Boxleitner was not into this.
Yeah, and the karaoke machine's still on, but no one's there listening to you anymore. You're just singing songs for your own enjoyment. And the acting was like, I'm tired. I want to go home, guys. We already had the big party. This is killing it, whooping a dead horse. When it should have been honestly, this should have probably been pushed a little bit earlier when the series hadn't ended yet. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say how they could have done it better, but they could have. And I want to point out to everyone, notice we talked about in the beginning for like 30 minutes, and we've covered the other 3 movies in a bit of time.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing.
We kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. We may have spent too much time on Thirdspace, but
yeah.
But you ready to move on to the last one? Or you got something else to say about this?
I think this is it. Now let's talk a minute. I like Galen. I like Peter Woodward that plays him.
I love both of those actors. I think they do good. It's hard for me to talk about them without talking about Crusade, though.
Yeah, that's true. But with him, I've seen him in other stuff. He was the host of a documentary style reality show called Conquest on History. Huh. And he would get a bunch of people together, and they would say, okay, today we're going to learn about the broadsword, and this is how knights would use it. And they would literally have a duel, like kind of in stepping through it and stuff. Really cool show, but it only lasted like a season. He plays one of the general's aides in The Patriot with Mel Gibson. I don't know if you knew that or
really? Not. I've seen him. He's got that familiar face you've seen a million times.
Yeah, I'll be watching that in a couple of weeks. It's a family tradition to watch it around 4th of July. So, yeah, great movie. But yeah, that's he was a great addition to the universe, and you need to read those books sometime. That's all about his character, the Techno Mage trilogy. Fully canon by Jean Cavalos.
Really?
So, yeah. Like
what?
Like JMS outlined them and she put them on paper. Like they're really good stories. So,
well, I mean, Galen's a really interesting character.
Yeah, big time. Oh, and you don't even know until you read these books how interesting he really is. Like, and it goes into the Techno Mages. Like, it's kind of like reading like a Jedi novel. Like, it goes into their beliefs and the way they do things. Yeah, great trilogy. Yeah, the last one we're really going to talk about came 3 years after after Call to Arms. It was 2002, and it was on Sci-Fi Network. They had somehow gained I don't want to say the rights, but they picked it up.
Well, Sci-Fi was just looking for content.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And GMS was like, I have another idea for another series since Crusade kind of failed. This one will happen even further into the future from the time Crusade was supposed to take place, which was like 5 years after the end of Babylon 5 series. And it's going to be about a ship of Rangers. And if you know Babylon 5, you know what Rangers are. And this is going to be yet again a soft pilot. You know, it wasn't really intended as one. It's like, hey, let's make this movie, and if people like it, then we'll make episodes and stuff.
Yeah, we'll expand.
And let's shoehorn in Jakar just so we can say, hey, look, Babylon 5.
Yeah, I never saw the trailer, but I guarantee you his clip was in the trailer.
Oh, yeah, it was. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt. He was there for eye candy, for fans to say, wait, don't go away. Jakar is in this. Yeah.
And like him doing what he did in the movie made no sense. Like, why him?
All it was to get the fans to come watch it. That's truly the only reason it was there.
And just the whole premise, like, once again, there's an unknown powerful race that we kind of missed, you know, and they were kind of like affiliated and not really affiliated with the Shadows, but they were kind of a lost first one type of powerful alien race. You know, we've already seen that before, JMS. We don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
So that was recycled plot, and they were called the Hand. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with this.
But except for that weapon system, now that was money right there. You know what I'm talking about?
All right. Oh, this is what I want to talk about here.
I got to find a picture.
This is
go.
So they've got to have a meme. Someone's got to have made a meme on this. But and I don't know who was smoking crack in the writer's room, and they thought this was a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to have something new and special. This ship could do something that nothing else could. And they said, okay, let's make their weapons unique. Okay, what can we do? I'm not playing. A girl who's trained to do this. She jumps down a little tube. It looks like a little water slide. She jumps into the tube. I don't know where she goes from there, because she goes into a virtual reality of space. Like, she becomes the ship. That's okay. So she's technically the ship. You see her flying in space, but she's technically the ship now. She represents the ship, even though they just show her. And every time she throws a punch, or even better, a kick, then lasers shoot out of her fist and toes. I'm not making this up. You've got to see a clip on this. But the thing is, she's going, yeah, and she's kicking her feet, and she's on a string because they're holding her. They're suspending her from a string like Peter Pan on a blue screen, and she's kicking and punching. And I'm not kidding. They flip her upside down. And so she's moving, and kicking and everything. It looks like she's flailing or having a conniption, and they're just moving her around in circles and upside down. And when you see it, I was like, what? It's and ships are exploding because she's punching at it. She's not punching through a ship. She's punching toward it, and the laser shooting the ship. Or she's kicking it. And when they're all around her, she's kicking and punching all around her and flipping, doing flips. But she's obviously on suspensions there. And it's just like, you're like, who looked at this and went, good. Let's show this. I mean, it is the most ridiculous. Now, you take this whole thing out, and there's nothing to enjoy. You enjoy the scene because it's so utterly senseless. I mean, just insane that someone thought this was, because it's her floating. That's not a bad picture. That's probably a good picture. She's floating in space. She's supposed to be representing the ship. And so whenever she punches, it's the ship's cannons firing. But we never see the ship firing because I don't know. Maybe this was to save money. What were they thinking? What were they thinking?
I think this was him, like him being GMS, trying to be creative and let's do something. I don't get the advantage though. Like, are you going to trust the way that you throw a punch versus using modern targeting technology?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it. And somehow they're proud of this because they brought it out.
I hope they're not.
Well, I mean, not now, but I'm just saying back then they aired it. They could have changed something, especially like that.
That's true.
They let this thing go on the air. Obviously, someone thought they had a great idea and they thought that everyone would love it too. And you love it, but you love it because it's the most ridiculous thing. Oh, Tuscan Bob. Honestly, if you can find a clip or you can find, I'm sure this is streaming on Prime. I'm not even playing it. It's worth your time. Watch.
I don't think it's on Prime.
Oh, it's not. Oh man, find someone who has it. Don't buy this, for goodness sake. Don't buy it. But find a clip of her kicking and punching and lasers coming out everywhere. It's you just sit there and go, what?
Remember that scene in Austin Powers? You know, when he's like doing the thing and then he does the hip thrust. I wonder what happens in the weapon system when you do a hip thrust. That's like the super weapon. That's like the Death Star super laser.
The swing, from Wayne's World. Swing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Oh my God.
Man.
It's so
what
dumb.
An awful concept. And then the characters sucked.
Oh, all the characters are they're annoying. They're to the point they're just annoying. They're not boring. They're annoying. And you want to punch them in the face. They're all so bad.
Like the captain, whatever he was, the human main character guy, terrible actor.
Terrible.
But I'll remember this line because they showed the freaking commercial I don't know how many times on Sci-Fi. And I will never forget this line when he's like, he's in trouble. That's the plot, that he had surrendered or retreated. And you're not supposed to retreat when you're a ranger. And this line was on the commercial, like, I'm a ranger. We live for the one, we die for the one, but we don't die stupidly. Like, they would show that commercial where he says that like a million times. It's like, it was just terrible acting.
Because again, and that's the other thing. It's terrible acting. It's terrible. It's like, I could have been in a Babylon 5 movie. I could have been in this movie and done just a good, if not better job. It's that, but again, who was looking at this and going, what were the sci-fi people going, I don't care, just slap Babylon 5 on it and send it out. How pissed was Jakar for having to be in that?
Yes.
I don't know. And sadly, that's his last appearance as Jakar.
Hold on, I'm pulling something up here. This is going to be longer than in the beginning because there's so much.
I told you this is all I want to laugh about. I don't even want to talk about anything else. I want to laugh about this.
Hold on a minute. I'm finding two pictures to compare side by side. Hold on.
I cannot wait.
Gummit. It's going to be impossible to find this.
Well, he's doing that. Believe me. This is one that when I watched for the second time, I had no memory of this watching it the first time. I just totally just threw it out of my brain. And when I watched it this time, I was like, what am I looking at? I mean, honestly, did they really think this was a good idea? Like, it shocked me. It shocked me when I was watching this again going, I can't believe that they let this fly, that they thought this was a fine idea, that they saw nothing wrong with this. They said, yeah, let's air this bad boy. We're ready to go. I mean, you say what you say. I mean, say what you will about Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. I mean, yeah, they came up with stinkers, but not everything they did was awful. Highlander the Source, terrible TV movie on Sci-Fi Channel. Horrible.
Yeah.
The Tremors 4 movie was a sci-fi movie, sci-fi exclusive. That is the worst of a pretty decent Tremors movie series that I really liked. Oh my gosh, Tuscan Bob. Yes. We need to hook that girl up with Rhino, is what he said.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That's a match made in Australian heaven. Okay,
yes, it
right
is.
there. I mean, I'd take that idea and stuff it down a kangaroo's pooch.
Oof.
Anyway, they did come out with a Tremors TV show, which was pretty good.
Oh, it had Michael Gross and everything, I believe.
And it was a really good series. It didn't last for like 12 episodes because it was so hodgepodge thrown together. But that's
probably high budget too.
Oh yeah, look at these.
I can't find the picture I wanted, but I found the crew whilst searching, and yeah, this is the crew. It was just awful. Like the Drazi guy was dumb, of course. The Narn chick was a bitch. It was just bad. Like none of these people look interesting or were interesting.
And that's a shame because obviously no one cared at Sci-Fi. They just wanted to throw the slop together and get it out there. But if they if someone would have cared about this, you could have maybe had an interesting storyline for Sci-Fi Channel. But again, acting terrible. Story plot, boring. Don't care about it.
Toward the very beginning of the movie, there is a Minbari that's kind of a rival to the human guy here, and he's like, "Yo, we're Minbari and we're the real Rangers." And then they have a pike fight because you have the Denbach, the Ranger weapon, the Minbari weapon that extends.
Oh yeah,
really cool weapon. They have that fight. It's some of the most awful choreography, and I have not seen Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I can't really compare it to that. But here's back in the day in 2002. Here's what I thought of when I saw that duel. Do you know what this is? Does anyone in the chat know what that is? It's the rake fight. Have you ever seen
No.
Have you ever seen gargoyles?
No.
No, they're not gargoyles. Hobgoblins. Have you ever seen
hobgoblins? Oh, okay.
So Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was on Sci-Fi at the time in 2002, had shown this episode around that time. And as soon as I started watching that pike fight, I'm like, this choreography is so bad. It reminds me of the rig fight in Hobgoblins.
My goodness, that looks
yeah, it was
it's very bad. Everything about this whole movie is terrible.
Yeah, bad plot. And again, how could you make a whole series around this? Yet another godlike race that somehow they missed. We thought we got rid of them all.
So
no, we
terrible.
didn't. What he should have just done? I mean, do you have anything else to say about this piece of crap?
I don't. We're ready to wrap it.
So here's what he should have done. He should have made the telepath war the thing he's talked about forever.
I don't know why. And see, that's a good idea because he always hinted toward it. It never happened. If you had a great idea, you could have made all 5 of them or the other 4 movies about the telepath war. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. Have them come out yearly. I mean, whatever. And
he never did it.
Would have been great.
He never did it in the books. He never did it in the comics. And you know why? I don't think he knew what the story was.
I agree with that 1,000%. I don't think he had any idea where to take that story, what to do with it. He just thought it was a cool idea and he thought to talk about it, but he had no idea. A lot of these guys have great ideas and they have no way how they're going to execute that or how it would work. So yeah, I agree completely with that.
And Corey's right. More of Bester would have been great. And that's another thing, Matt, like the Psy-Core trilogy by J. Gregory Keyes of Star Wars Expanded Universe fame. It finalizes the storyline between Bester and Garibaldi. Plus it has a bunch of other stuff too, but the last book is the best of the 3. And it gives you closure on that storyline where he had, put the Asimovs into Garibaldi's mind to where he couldn't harm him and
Right.
stuff. Fantastic books by Gregory Keyes, also canon. So you need to get your hands on those as well.
A Psychor series spinoff would have been interesting.
That too. Yeah,
that'd have been interesting. I'd have gone for that. And it's a good point because you have characters that you could have spawned off that would have been interesting. That could have held their own. But
yes,
for some reason they thought this was the best idea.
I know.
I don't know.
And it's not really it's him. Like, and here's my hot take.
Right.
Here's my hot take. I have never seen anything else from JMS other than seasons 1 through 5, and I guess you can throw in the beginning in there, Babylon 5, that was good. I've seen his other stuff, and I haven't liked it. Like, do you like anything else? Did you like his Spider-Man run? He did a Superman run. He did someone else in comics. Like, Timon is left, but
didn't he do the comic book Rising?
He did Supreme Power, Rising Stars.
Rising Stars. Rising Stars I enjoyed.
Rising
okay. Stars I did enjoy. That was the one comic book that I thought he did well.
I have the collected editions. It was okay,
It's been a while, so it may have been okay, but I remember really liking it when it came out.
I still think that Heroes ripped off that for their television show.
Oh, most likely so.
Yeah.
Most likely so.
But he and Jeremiah was a post-apocalyptic show with Luke Perry and Malcolm Jamal Warner. Saw a couple of episodes of it, but it really wasn't going anywhere. And I think it got 2 seasons. It was like a Showtime or HBO show. But yeah, I've never seen anything else that I absolutely loved from him other than Babylon 5. And I think the reason is he had been planning that since the mid-'80s. So we kind of knew what he wanted to do. After that, it's like, oh no, what do I do now? Thirdspace, Call to Arms, Legend of the Rangers, and he couldn't come up with anything good.
Throwing schlop up on the screen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, Theo Huxtable, that was him. He was in Jeremiah. So, and it's based on a graphic novel. So anyway, that's really it. Those are the movies, guys. Watch the series, then watch in the beginning. And then if you want to see the rest, just watch them one time because that's how boring and just forgettable they were. So
watch River of Souls. There is some good in there.
Yeah.
Other than
especially
that,
you have an HD version, pause it. Yeah.
Yeah, then pause. And then just turn it off after that. That's it. They should have got her in that outfit in Legends of the Rangers, kicking and moving. That
would have been good. Yeah,
that'd have been fine.
Exactly. So what we'll do next is we're gonna do a Crusade stream.
I'm looking forward to that.
And then, gosh, there's the Lost Tales, and
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out. Maybe by then you will have read some of the books because you're a fast reader.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. But I know I'm looking forward to both of those, because I got something to say about Lost Tales too. It'll definitely be a short one since we're just talking about just one movie, but I have stuff to say about that one as well. Crusade, I can't wait to talk about though.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time, Nitrium, for sure. Maybe maybe sometime in July, because a lot going on over the next 3 weeks. I probably want to give it another run through. I did rewatch it in my rewatch the time before last.
It's only been about 3 years. 13.
You would ask me that.
It can't be more than that.
It's 13.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 13, which is kind of an odd number.
I have it on DVD because I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so I bought it on DVD for like $10.
Yeah, I have it as well on
Yeah.
DVD.
I don't know if I can rewatch it. I don't know if I have the time to rewatch it. I know you're thinking,
I will.
That's a whole month, but I just don't have that time to rewatch the shows.
Well, hell, we can even do it in early August or something.
But no. I'm let's go with July because I definitely want to talk about them.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it so that I can bring stuff up and you'll remember it. Yeah,
I'll remember it and everything. But yeah.
I'll give it a run through as I'm working Monday and Fridays at home. I can just play it on my other monitor. But yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll figure out a way to fill out the stream on the Lost Tales for sure, because that's a whole stream to talk about Crusade, 13 episodes and characters and all that stuff.
Yep.
That's awesome, Nitrium. Yeah, I mean, I think I've watched the series proper about 11 times at this point because it's so good. And here's something, just for a few more minutes here. If you ever get not tired of, but I'm watching it again and again, try this. I'm going to do character rewatches. So what I'm doing right now, I kind of paused. I only watch Garibaldi episodes and skip all the others. That way you kind of get his story. Then I'm going to do Franklin episodes. Then I'm going to do like Sheridan episodes. It's really cool to just see how the characters progress without a lot of other noise in between, i.e., all the other episodes. So that's a cool way of rewatching television shows and reading books and stuff. So next time you reread Expanded Universe, just do like, what are the books that mainly feature one of the characters, and just reread those. So yeah. Anyways, that is about it. Matt, thanks for being here.
Man, thanks for having me. Always fun, Tim. Always fun.
Absolutely. Chat, thanks for being here. And I guess, well, hell, I just went to Streamlabs. Sorry, Tuscan Bob. $5. You're doing a bad job of selling me on this. Well, on this IP, but that's the thing. The series proper, and then in the beginning, like top notch.
In the beginning is the only thing we wanted to sell you on. The rest of it, that we're just going through because we're going through. We go through Babylon 5. We go through everything. We go all the way, baby. Go all the way.
Well, and think about this, Greg. Like, look at TNG, your favorite Star Trek series. I would argue that the vast majority of those episodes are not vast majority, but a majority are probably mediocre to bad. Like if you really add them up, but then you've got season 3 and 4 and 5 primarily that have some of the best episodes out there. So think about how much bad there is in Trek. And then really the only bad there is in B5, spot episodes here and there, mainly in the 1st and 5th seasons. And then these movies, everything else, top notch. So put it in perspective that way, pal. Anyway, thanks for the $5. Yeah, we will see you guys. Let me think of what's next. Rhino streaming Thursday night, and then Spacing's back Friday, and we can talk about all the Star Wars drama. So, yeah. Let me see if I can find my outro. Here it is. See ya. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.